What's good, yo? JD here. And looks like there's a big merger happening with AT&T, or at least some plans. AT&T, WB, Discovery announced merger that changes everything. This is coming from Comic Book Cast 2. It's pretty good YouTuber source for information and comic book type news. So let's see what they got to say about this. That sounds interesting.
Themselves in a lot of debt once they acquired WP. AT&T has struck a new deal that is fundamentally going to change the entertainment industry forever. Much like what Disney did when they merged with Fox, this puts WB and AT&T in a completely different ballpark, as they've officially combined themselves with Discovery.
Discovery. That's interesting.
So again, the objective for me here is to make everything simplified and not go through all the mundane details that are just sort of, well, useless to most people that are wondering, what exactly does this mean? So think of it like this. Two other giant megacorps have merged to become an even bigger megacorp. That's all you really got. We've talked about it before. When Disney was set to acquire Fox, everybody was screaming monopoly. At the same time, AT&T and WB merging was sort of overlooked because, well, not Disney. But we've known ever since that merger that AT&T inherited a giant debt and that they were still looking to sell off assets and pay it off. And today we get that giant announcement of the next phase of, well, really giant conglomerates together. I think that's the best way.
Look at these DC stuff,
As
man.
most of you know, AT&T owns a lot. They own internet infrastructure. They own TV, much like Warner did. And this
Oh, I'm waiting for Titan season 3.
I guess shift into how many assets.
Yeah, he's coming back too.
Considering that AT&T has announced,
and the Snyder Cut's phenomenal. So if y'all haven't watched that, watch that.
Now, Discovery Inc. Some of you might not watch it. You've probably seen some of their content out there.
Oh, I love Stargirl.
Those TV shows
so good.
Renovating things. You got your HGTV, you got your Food Network, your Animal Planet, your Oprah Winfrey Show, whatever else she might do. So they're taking on quite a lot. On top of tons of other assets I could talk about, but they're not really going to be important for now. And if they affect anything, we'll talk about it in the future. The big takeaway here is the fact that we've already seen what can happen when a giant takeover slash merger happens with the likes of Disney and with the likes of WB already under AT&T. You have to get rid of people. There's people coming in that are going to take over jobs, mergers, consolidation. Essentially, what we're looking at is what most of you are here for. How does this affect DC? It's going to affect them quite a lot, I can tell you. They're going to look at the bottom line, and the bottom line for DC has been up and down. And they're going to look at that and assess that, and they're going to look at new ideas, new approaches, and reassess the complete situation. Much like when Ann Sarnoff got put into the position where she was like, no, we're done with the Snyder Cut, we're done with this, we're done with that, we're moving different directions. The next person is to have their own opinion and their own voice of what's best. If that person ends up getting put in charge because they're on the Discovery side of things, because
Swamp Thing's too good,
or perceived as valuable, which I put quotation marks, again, valuable quotation marks and all that, then there's going to be a radical shift. The direction of this deal is expected to be finalized in middle of next year, so give it a year from now. Which again, to see any of these effects take place would be about 2.5 to 3 years from now. Meaning, once everything we currently have in development out, that's when we could see a little bit of a gap. Like a year where we get maybe one or two things. And then the new people start calling the shots. And when we get to that, we'll get to that. My assumption is if the next couple of projects work out, not much will change. If we see some stuff suffer, get ready for another radical shift in the entire direction.
Oh man.
The comic business, good luck.
It is a dog eat dog world when it comes to comic book movies. I mean, they're so polarizing, and there's been so many different type of comic book movies that you gotta stand out first off. You gotta separate yourself from what's been done already. You gotta be consistent. You gotta have a great story, and you have to be able to be open to do other things. With DC, their television shows, for me personally, this is all my opinions. None of this is actual facts. Um, their television shows for me have been in different grades, right? So when Smallville was originally out, I loved Smallville. It's an amazing series, and their bottom line was they didn't want Clark Kent to be Superman. And even though the series went for 10 years, they try to avoid that as much as possible, but it's the essence of the character, so they had to do it. Um, and so, growing up, I was like, all right, this is amazing. Now they're finally able to do this. And off of the success of Smallville came Arrow. And the Arrow was completely different from what people thought it was going to be. It was a much more grounded, darker, serious toned, and it was badass. Like, I loved the first 2 seasons of Arrow, probably the most. And Arrow season 2 is easily my favorite. The introduction of Deathstroke was phenomenal. It's just one of those type of characters that doesn't get enough live action screen time, and it had some screen time in different elements. They introduced a version of him in Smallville. The one that was an Arrow is by far superior. Manu Bennett's Deathstroke, phenomenal actor. I'm glad he got a chance to do that, and he brought so much humanity and depth to the character that it was just fun to watch him on screen. And then we're talking about evolution, right? Escalation. Whenever you have one thing, you got to grow from it. And Arrow was able to grow its DC television universe off of that. With the Flash, being introduced in season 2 of Arrow, and it was such a great introduction at that. I mean, not even just the music, but just how they did it was awesome. Um, and then the Flash was also the first, I'd say 2, maybe even 3 seasons of the Flash was amazing, and then they were able to grow from there. Sometimes whenever you do a series and you do it for too long, it feels like it kind of run thin. Arrow had its ups and downs between season 3 and 4, but they brought it back hard for season 5. Flash had similar issues, but they're still going pretty strong. They're starting to turn things around, even with the pandemic and things changing their schedules and all that. Supergirl is underrated and fantastic. The first season was on a different network before it became on CW in season 2, and so they had to do a whole shift change. By the time they got to season 3, it was liftoff. Like, it was one of those shows I was always looking forward to. And so it's like, whenever you talk about DC properties, like when you watch their shows, you watch their movies, it's all about how you present the characters and how they kind of grow off of each other. The movies, I mean, Christopher Nolan movies, the Batman trilogy, it's just one of the best trilogies out there you could ever watch. It's its own story. It feels like it meets every criteria it needs to in each individual film, and when you look at the whole movie as a big picture, it's just amazing, like what they were able to accomplish. And Christopher Nolan is amazing for being able to do that, especially with Batman, because that's my favorite character. And then they moved in with Zack Snyder with Man of Steel. Man of Steel is still one of the top DCEU movies. They needed to make a Man of Steel 2, so whatever announcements and stuff they do, they need to go back and look at what they missed out on. Man of Steel 2 with Henry Cavill Superman is one of the biggest ways they can make money if they need money. Um, he's one of the best Supermen that ever went on the big screen. You know, he looks the part. He feels like he loves the character. So he needs to have his own sequel. Batman v Superman, as good as it is, when you watch the extended version, which they should never have touched, that's its own topic. Um, they should have kept the extended cut. I mean, a little extra half an hour in the theaters would have made the world of difference for them. They would have all these other issues that they've had, they wouldn't have had as much. But that being said, it's also a Batman film. So not only is it a Superman film, it's a Batman Superman film, right? When you look at it in the animated type film, DC kills it when it comes to animation. By the way, everyone knows this. They're the top quality animation for comic book movies. But you know, if you look at Batman, Superman movies and animated, and you know the animated style, those work a little differently, right? When you get those two characters together, it's more of an equal kind of footing. But when you look at it from a live action perspective, Superman was first, and then Batman got introduced, but everything's kind of shot more in Batman's perspective, you know, his emotions, his feelings, that Superman needed more time to shine. And I know Zack Snyder had a plan to do, I think it was 5 movies before doing the Justice League 2 movies that he had planned. Um, Man of Steel 2 would have been an incredible way for Superman to get not only the big screen action that he needed to make you love his character even more, but to give you even more action. Like, everyone loves Superman whenever he's throwing down, and Zack Snyder always was the one that was able to capture that the best. To the dynamic shots, the cape flaps, all of that. And then going into what they end up producing when they had this Justice League, that was a disaster that they kept trying to turn around. Yeah, if you watch it, it's a semi competent movie, but that's only if you're going to watch a popcorn film. It's 2 hours of why didn't this happen? Why didn't that happen? But then when you watch the Zack Snyder Justice League, you realize how inferior that movie is. The Zack Snyder Justice League just dominates when it comes to not only telling a story, but being able to deliver on great action, and allows you to each character to breathe and have its own moment to shine, and then cultivates into like this amazing sort of ending that's kind of open ended. So it does, you know, leave room to expand. But it's also one of those things that DC, or I should say Warner Brothers, is trying to ignore. They're trying to ignore the success of Zack Snyder's Justice League. The movie is good, and it beats almost every other film that came out from DC since the releases of Man of Steel. If you look at it like in a tier list, I'd have to have Zack Snyder's Justice League as like number 1, and Man of Steel is number 2. Wonder Woman, the original Wonder Woman, even though the third act isn't as strong, it's definitely like a third. So those are like your top 3. And then there, you know, it's just one of those things where they've played a lot more around Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman 2 didn't do very well, and you know, I know this is a pandemic and all that, but they definitely needed to hone Wonder Woman into the warrior that she is, and she's captured so much better with the Zack Snyder cut than she was in the Wonder Woman 2. So they need to look at Zack Snyder for having like a separate universe. If they're doing this whole multiverse thing, if they want to make their money back, you cast the right people to do the, you know, Justice League 2, but introduce it in a slower passion, allow things to breathe, and have it as HBO Max exclusives. They will make their money back. It's the simplest way. And also, you know, those need to be in theaters. So if you make a movie that's releasable in theaters like that, it's a win-win for them. They got a lot of plans that they're trying to do, and for some reason DC's trying to add a lot more elements to the plate than just the core. if you look at it from like my perspective as a comic fan, we never literally got the initial Justice League as a main movie. Um, and what I mean by that is Justice League is supposed to have Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Green Lantern. Green Lantern is a core member, and even though there's different versions of Green Lantern, he's a core member. They pulled back on that so long that it's just that's what people look forward to. So people are evaluating these films are always looking for at least those members. Um, sure, you can have Aquaman or you can have Martian Manhunter, Shazam, but those characters need to have, Green Lantern needs to be part of that. And, Alan Scott is just, for Justice Society, and at least now they're starting to recognize that, I guess. Going forward, Stargirl, which is a great series. This DC was able to make really good dark content with HBO Max originals. That Stargirl is a fresh take on a character that's very lighthearted and very welcoming. I was not sure how I was gonna feel about watching Stargirl, but then after watching it and seeing how it's just as great as the dark stories that they have, but it's not dark, but has like dark outlines. So it has like those rays of light that give you a lot more hope. And I'm like, this is amazing. Like, this is the type of content that should be produced from DC. There should be a good range of darks and lights, not just a straight monotone, gray everywhere. There needs to be, different changes. And it looks like they're trying to do something with that, like with this James Gunn Suicide Squad. They're trying to, have some vibrance in there. And all that being said, they just need to get their act together and look at what they have as a big picture. Multiverse, and literally pull it together like a multiverse. They need to take from the comics, right? Map out what they have and find a way to literally put everything together so that way it works properly and has some kind of continuance. Everything kind of continues. Even when they rechange the universe, the Flash runs back and changes something, and in any of the anime movies, he gets into a different version of reality, and then they have other types of continuance. And that's one thing that DC needs to look at. Everything about Marvel movies right now is all about continuance, changing up the game, but they keep moving forward. I think the only problem for WB is that they keep trying to gauge their successes off of the wrong types of audiences, I think, instead of what the fans want. And what the fans want is, well, for one, Henry Cavill to have Superman, another Superman movie, and Ben Affleck Batman, to have his solo Batman series. But what we really want is to have the actual DC universe characters established properly, at least in the main movies, before doing all these alternate versions of these characters. It's cool to see it and all that, but you gotta have your base before you try to stray away from it. And I think that's what they did wrong, is they did way too much straying away before giving us the proper base. So let me know what you guys think about all this news coming out. What would you guys do differently if you were in their shoes? And who do you think is going to get changed the most when you're looking at all these new merging information? People that take over positions and all that. Like, what do you think is going to get changed the most? Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked the video. Subscribe if you want to see more content. Definitely want to react to a lot more of these kind of news for you guys. And I want DC to succeed personally. It's my favorite comic book outlet. I got tons of comics and graphic novels from DC that I don't have with Marvel, but most of it is Batman content. So if you give me good Batman content, I'm gonna be happy either way. But they need to look at what they got and produce it properly. But thanks for watching, y'all.